Hey guys, what's up? Jin back with another episode of the Otakuology podcast, best podcast in the world. And with me, as always, he likes to say that he's my heterosexual,
This
deep
is the
nitty
Gotta Read
gritty,
'Em All podcast.
deep nitty gritty podcast buddy.
Wrong podcast. This is the Gotta Read 'Em
Uh,
All podcast.
this is the Gotta Read 'Em All podcast, and with me, as always, my Pokemon cohort slash Pokemon lover, Otakumai.
Yeah.
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 And
I don't know what to say to that.
you don't love Pokemon?
I mean, I do love Pokemon, but in what kind of way?
So, anyway, we are going to cover chapter 29 for you guys. Go for the Golbat.
Do we call him Golbat or Goldbat?
Golbat?
Golbat? I always call him Goldbat.
I mean, I guess you could say there's a silent D in his name.
I don't know. That's what I always call them. But I
maybe it depends on the gender. Depends on the gender if he's got a D.
Maybe.
Oh man, now if I ever hear anybody call it a Golbat, a Golbat, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, they listen to the podcast, damn it.
Yeah, because I thought it was like gold, like Gold, like Goldbat.
I don't know, because I feel like everybody says it that way, but I'm pretty sure, like, I know how to write it, and I think I say it the same way too, though.
Okay, we'll have to look into that.
And what year was the D taken out of Gold?
Well, I mean, these like all the Pokemon have like different names in Japan. I think other than like Pikachu, but like
Yeah.
all the other ones have like different names.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I know. They have different names all across the world.
I know.
Like, whenever I'm talking to somebody, it's really weird if I've played the game or am playing one of the games, and it's one of my foreign friends, and I'm like, I've looked it up to see, like, what the name is and stuff, right? Because I think, like, Ivysaur is, like, Fujansi or something. Like, something odd that we're not used to. And it's different than the Japanese one. And I'll be like, oh, I said, oh, you were fighting, and I'll be like, oh, so you're fighting me with Fujansi, and they're like, who the fuck is that?
That's just my name, my Ivysaur.
And I'm like, that's your Ivysaur, and they're like, yeah, my Ivysaur. Where did you get that name from? And I'm like, that's what it says it's called in your country. So I don't know.
But do you wanna start us off in this discussion?
Yes.
I feel like we got a really good one this time. I said that about the last one too, but I mean, like, this one like rolls into the next two. This one and the next one roll into the last one we talked about.
I am a little upset that this one rolls into the next one, and for people to listen to it, they won't be able to listen to it for a little while.
True.
Because they all just kind of roll together. So I mean,
I know.
Who knows?
I feel like it's the trend within the Pokemon manga.
Right. I feel like it would have been better if they gave it to them, like, let us know what they were in arcs and covered the arcs instead of whatever.
Here's the Team Rocket arc, part 55.
Yeah. And it was like, all right, well, that's going to be chapters 16 through 20. That way, like, we could cover that as a bundle instead of it being like all random, oh, well, here's this, and here's this, and here's this. That way we know, like, where it is. But we just left chapter 28 where we got into Saffron City, into Silph Tower. Red and blue both ran in, and uh, red got so far past or behind blue and ended up falling through a trap door.
Yeah.
So they split up the dynamic duo right now. So blue is on the second floor and red has fallen back down to the first floor. Um, Starting out, we kind of get this weird scene where blue has turned around to see where red is.
Yeah.
And there is a secret master ninja, kind of like white ghosty looking figure
Yeah, like
behind blue.
it's Koga, and Koga's using like a projection ability, it seems like.
Yeah, that is kind of what it looks like.
Yeah. Um which
And then he
we
sends out
haven't
the Scyther.
we haven't seen Koga in like since when? Like the Ghost Tower? Was that the last time we saw Koga?
No, I think we saw him one other time, but he was like commanding. He wasn't
Okay.
in the fight.
Okay. So
Um,
I don't remember.
because
But
that's
yeah.
kind of happened with Surge, Sabrina, and Koga and Giovanni, like on and off. That they're kind of there, but they're not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We'll get like a face view, and it'll be like, I sent people to go do this. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
won't get like an actual story.
Yeah. I don't know why I
Um,
thought Koga was around more recently than what he was, I guess.
well, and that's what I'm saying. I think he was, but we just haven't seen him again.
But yeah, you said we get Scyther, which
Yeah, we get Scyther that goes on the attack
he
to
tries to
hit
attack Koga.
Koga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
I have questions, but we'll get to those in a minute. But go ahead.
Questions about what's happening with Koga?
Yeah, I got questions about Koga.
Man, this guy is decked out, okay? Decked out in the poison. Um, so Scyther attacks him and gets him in the shoulder. He honestly looks like he's got those big, like, shoulder pads that people wore in, like, the 70s.
He's
You know what I'm
got
talking
like
about? Like the ladies?
late 80s anime shoulder pads, early 90s shoulder pads from the animes.
Right?
That's what it seems like. Like
Yeah. Can,
they're like pointy. You could like poke somebody's eye out if you turn the wrong way.
can you think of another character that has that, like, that has that?
Yeah, God. Um oh god, her name slipped my mind. Uh who's the one from Slayers? Do you remember what her name is? Lena Inverse
Maybe
from
I don't.
Slayers?
I'm sure I know who we're talking about, but I haven't seen enough of Slayers to like know
She's like the main character.
the redhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like point like the big looks like almost like linebacker shoulder pads kind of thing. So yeah, going
Well,
on.
so in this told me that if they ever want to do a rendition of this for like a Pokemon show, I definitely need like David Bowie as Koga's voice actor.
You think, but David Bowie's dead.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you did it?
How could you let me in on this in the middle of an episode, you
He
dick?
died. He died like a couple of years ago.
My heart. Damn it.
But anyways, you were saying
Uh,
Koga.
well, now I gotta think of a different voice actor for Koga. Um, Christ. Uh, Koga has he's decked out in all this stuff. So while Scyther hit him in the thing, it actually turned out to be a Grimer that has shaped itself to look like these shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Um, and it kind of like wraps itself around Scyther a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Blue automatically goes for the attack of pulling out another Pokeball, and I'm assuming it's another Grimer because we're not told if it's a Muck. But
I think it's just Grimer. I think there's like maybe 2 Grimers.
but it wraps itself around Blue so that he can't move his arms to get another Pokeball, and to basically cover his mouth so he can't really talk at all.
And then eventually, I think they end up taking his Pokeballs, right?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought they took them.
No, I think they swat his,
Oh,
or they wrap him up again or something, because they
okay.
do give him a little break. Um, but can we talk about this guy's armor real quick? So he's got
Yeah,
a gold
yeah.
bat on one arm.
So my question is, because I didn't notice Ekans was on his arm too. Are these Pokemon like actual live Pokemon?
Yeah,
They are?
yeah.
Because like Golbat has like a mirror in his mouth. And
He
like
did that before, remember?
yeah, but I didn't like know that they were live Pokemon. Like I thought maybe it was like a communicator. He had to just look like Golbat.
No, 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 no. It is the actual Pokemon itself.
Okay, because I was like, man, Golbat's kind of small
Yeah.
to
Well,
fit on his wrist.
and I really wonder, like we talked about before, like the artist taking liberties of things.
Yeah,
And I really feel like while certain Pokemon evolve and whatnot, it's like, all right, so we specifically got these Pokemon that were this small to be on you guys' team.
yeah,
Like for a reason. Because the other thing is, whenever we were in the thing and we had the fake Arbok, the zombie Arbok or whatever,
like
that was actually in that one that we can remember last that Koga was in, is it was a huge Arbok. It
it was
wasn't
really big.
it wasn't some kind of like tiny Joe Schmo Pokemon. It was huge.
That's true.
So, but we'll see that again too. I feel like with Lieutenant Surge here in a second, because he's got all those Voltorbs,
Yeah, and
and
so
as far as I know, a Voltorb is bigger than a human being.
yeah, and so Red ends up and Pikachu end up falling down into the first floor. They end up trying to bust through a wall, but the walls are all electrified, and they can't really get through that. Obviously, it's like an electric cage has been placed around the entire room, and Voltorbs and Electrodes get thrown or shot at Red, and Red barely dodges them, and he's like, "Oh, that aren't those the Pokemon from the Pokemon Smuggler?" He says, and to be precise, it was me. And you hear a voice off in the distance, and we see Lieutenant Surge, and I feel like Lieutenant Surge might have got the cooler end of the Pokemon armor because he's got like, was it Magneton
I
shoulder
can't
pad?
tell it. I want to say that they're magnetons, but it could be magnemites. I am unsure on that.
He got like Magneton shoulder pads and a bandolier of electrodes and Voltorbs strapped to his body. And plus, he has his Electabuzz and his Raichu with him as well. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I am a gym leader, but I'm also a member of Team Rocket. He kind of ends up. Well, later on, we
He's got
find out that
his he's got his ball blaster.
he's got a bazooka that shoots electrodes and Voltorbs, which is pretty cool to see. Like, I wouldn't think you would put two and two together, but I guess you
Yeah.
can use them as ammunition. You know,
See, and I can't fully say that I agree wholeheartedly with you, because I feel like on armor wise for these, it's just built for the person,
yeah,
because Koga's definitely screams ninja.
that's true. But I think
And
Lieutenant Surge is cooler than Koga, in my opinion.
no comment.
No comment. Okay, that's
No
fine.
comment.
That's fine. That's fine.
I think they're
Well,
both equal. Although I do want to see if anybody else has cool Pokemon armor like this.
But we find out that Lieutenant Surge was a gym leader. He took his gym leader job pretty like seriously.
Yes.
At points, being the role of the quite serious and stuff with his rules and whatnot, and he was all about that life. But then Team Rocket came a calling, and he was like, I kind of see the views and opinions y'all are spouting, and I kind of agree with your views and opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, did you find it weird too? Because I also find Lieutenant Surge like the dumber one of the two.
You think so? I mean, but Lieutenant Surge
Yeah,
was also in the military.
yeah, but if we're talking about information or whatever, he automatically like told I'm Lieutenant Surge, one third of the command triad of Team Rocket.
Oh yeah. So
Like he automatically like told him like, hey, there's three of us. There's three
there's
of
three
us.
of us. There's three of
And
us.
Koga never brings it up.
True. You're not wrong with that.
So I feel like of the two, he's just kind of dumber about holding in the information
And we also go ahead.
because of that, and he does this little thing that we see in a second where um he starts talking about his magneton armor on his shoulders
Mm-hmm.
that work
Yeah.
as sonic boom shields,
Which is kind of cool. Like he's got like
and
a
his
barrier around him.
launcher that has the electrodes and voltorbs in it.
Mm-hmm.
Which this is another thing that I'm a little confused on. Is the one where they're on the little like bandolier thing that's holding,
Yeah.
but we just see them on it.
Yeah.
It says that uh they're quick, but they lack the strength, so this launcher does more. And I've always thought that they had pretty good strength.
I guess. But I mean, we're
That's
kind
true,
of going off the video game, but kind of not in a sense.
right?
And he also talks about how he has like a backpack thing on later on. We find out that he's like supercharging the electricity for the Pokemon to
Yeah,
like
through something
absorb.
else.
Yeah, which I love this scene where Pikachu ends up. I think he does like I don't know what he does. He shoots like a electric ball or something at Lieutenant Surge, and Lieutenant Surge like kind of like takes the brunt of the hit. Wait,
He shoots the electro ball before it's actually the electro ball.
is it? Is it?
I mean, that's what it has to be, right?
Uh, I
Because
guess.
electro ball wasn't made till like Gen 4 or 5.
Yeah. True.
So
True. But Lieutenant Surge he's like, oh, I'm just kidding, that didn't actually hurt me. And the Magnemites grab Red, and Lieutenant Surge is like, yeah, I'm gonna like basically cause all these damage to you and whatnot. You've entered him into my electric trap, and everything in
yeah,
this building is devised to augment our powers, apparently.
right. Which that's another thing I'm confused on. So he's got kind of the cage that he's in. What does Koga have that is like augmenting his power in his room? Because I'm like,
Koga has a white room, and that's it.
it's like, is there a mist in there? Like what else is in Koga's room for us to like have this advantage on everybody?
I don't know if he really has an advantage, except maybe like the element of surprise.
Yeah,
He's got
maybe there's like a light mist or something because
maybe,
he can do his ninja like disappearing at.
but I love this scene where all the Voltorbs and stuff get shot at Red, and he's like getting attacked and whatnot. And Lieutenant Surge is basically giving his like master plan, kind of. He's like, I have an infinite power,
Yeah,
infinite resources, do you really know what's going on? You don't really know what's going on. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you.
what's going on.
Let me tell you what's going on. And we find out that Surge has a backpack with a big old light bulb on the back of it. And this pack is like, is what's giving everything like his powers and whatnot. And we flip the page, and this part made me laugh so hard.
I agree.
Because I wasn't expecting Zapdos to be hooked up like a fucking car battery.
That's what this made me think of too. I was like, oh man.
I was
So
like, oh,
if you had Zapdos, you could totally like go, hey, I need my car hooked up. Click.
I need a little juice to go on,
Right.
you know. My car battery's a little needs a little jump, which I feel like
Right.
he's giving the jump to the Pokemon in a sense. But apparently they captured Zapdos, and I think didn't they capture Zapdos off panel? Like we never actually saw them catch him.
I think we knew that they caught him, but I don't think we saw that they caught him.
That's what I'm saying. They caught him like off screen. They caught him.
Yeah, I think they kind of did that with all three of them.
But I like this scene where like, you know, we see Electabuzz and he's like, so you can project images through Golbat's mouth? I was like, how are they doing that?
Right.
So like Koga is showing
I
Blue
don't
what's
know.
happening to Red.
I don't know. With like the last thing, like we have seen that there are some abilities that can be used for different things, like substitute or hypnosis to do things
Confused.
that aren't related to them.
Yeah, true. But
He's like, I'm using leech seed.
But we get this big revelation that they have Zapdos and whatnot, and and Blue ends up finding out that this is what's going on, and Red is still in trouble and cannot handle himself at all.
Yeah,
Apparently, like Red's down for the count at this point. I would say he's
that
down.
we think of.
Yeah.
And of course, then we get where Blue gets a little freed and tries to go for his Pokeballs. And just like a Vice Grip, Grimer wraps more around him again. And then Koga basically turns into Doctor Strange and goes, Blue, I'd like to make a deal.
Yeah, he wants to make a deal for his grandfather.
Yeah, he wants him to make a deal to basically talk his grandfather into changing his mind to do part of the research and stuff for the Pokemon for them, because I assume that at this time, like, Professor Oak is one of the only Pokemon professors that's around.
I think so. Like until like what we get to Gold and Silver.
No, I mean, we
Like
should have one in like every new region, but he's the only one really like the researcher by himself at this point.
he's the prominent researcher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially, here in Kanto.
But I like this scene where like, you know, they're not necessarily all about brute force. You
Yeah.
know, they're like, "Hey, you know, come on, you know, we can make things easier for you if you help us out. You know, scratch our back, we'll scratch yours type of situation." And but
Yeah.
Blue is not having it. Like Blue's Scyther is all like gunked up and with Grimer and stuff, and he's like, you know, no to both. I'm not going to do this. Which he ends up sending his Scyther to actually go attack Koga. And I love this fight. This fight is so like quick and almost like vicious. It seems like
Yeah.
because like we never really get to see Blue fight that often, and the way he fights is a lot different than Red.
Right, right.
But I love seeing Koga use his Pokemon armor to attack with the different Pokemon. I think it's
Yeah.
cool.
So he uses the Ekans to go after Scyther,
Uh huh.
and then he does a Razor Wind to uh kind of like do, I guess, a gut punch to
Yeah, to
Blue.
blue. Yeah. Which this part had me so confused because I was like, how is he doing that with his bracelet?
Oh yeah, because you
Yeah.
didn't notice that it was
No.
Ekans yet.
No, I didn't notice the Ekans until I read this a second time.
That's funny.
Like when we were going through this, I was like, oh, he has Ekans on his arm too.
Yeah.
But I noticed the
I
Golbat.
I also want to point out too, I like what you said of how their fighting styles are different.
Yeah.
And I like how later on, I think we find out in Ruby and Sapphire of how every Pokemon trainer has like a particular skill
Hmm.
that like they were supposedly born with, and it almost acts like a superpower with the Pokemon.
Yeah. But blue and red are no match for two of the, I guess, generals of Team Rocket
Yeah.
because they don't make it out of this fight. But is a perfect distraction for Green because Green decides to slip into Silph Co. and she's still looking for something in particular, which, if we remember correctly, it's Mew, right? Like she's looking for Mew.
I can't remember what she's looking for anymore. I think originally she was looking for like some kind of a score or whatever, and then it ended up becoming Mew.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not sure because it seems like she always tries to just get something like over on somebody. So I mean, it could be anything.
Which it leads her to a mysterious door, and that is where our chapter 29 ends. Which I'm really looking forward. I have to say, I'm really looking forward to the next chapter because it's going to be a little bit green focused. And
Right?
like you said before, like I want to see more green, and you want to see more green. You know,
Green with envy.
green with envy, yeah.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, what did you think of this particular chapter as a whole?
I think it was pretty good. I think we kind of got like our good lineup for like the comeback story with
Hmm.
the Pokemon gym leaders and what everybody is supposed to do from there per se.
Yeah,
Because of course, like we've seen and we already get it from Lieutenant Surge that there is a triad of them, and so obviously we know Koga is reds and Lieutenant Surge is their Koga is blues and Lieutenant Surge is reds. So then, from previous previous chapters, we can kind of say like obviously at that point that
Sabrina.
Sabrina is going to be greens.
Yeah, like green's foil.
So going into part of that, I'm really excited for us to get into that and kind of see more of what's going on because we also know too at some point if Zapdos has been revealed as like Lieutenant Surge's kind of guy, that one of the other two have to have Aerodactyl and the other one's got to have Moltres.
You mean Moltres and Articuno?
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Because you said Aerodactyl.
Yeah, I was like, wait, hold on. I said that
Yeah.
wrong. But yeah, I mean, unless they're being used for something else, which I don't see, I wouldn't see why they would try and do that. I mean, I would think that the other two would have one of them as well.
Yeah.
So we just got to figure that out.
Yeah, and what they're exactly using them for is going to be interesting. Because
Yeah,
the
because
only,
the only one that really makes sense is Lieutenant
is
Surge,
Lieutenant Surge
and
with Zapdos.
yeah, because they're both
Yeah,
lightning. But
lightning.
poison and psychic, I'm a little confused on what's going to be what.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But it'll be interesting to see. Like, I liked in this one that we got like the heroes actually had a challenge in a
right, yeah,
sense. Like, normally we see them and they're like, oh yeah, they have sort of a challenge, but they get through it. This one they didn't necessarily get through in one try.
right,
They have to, overcome their obstacles in a bigger sense,
right,
which I like. I
right,
like I like to see my heroes struggle.
right. Well, and one of the other things that I really enjoyed in this chapter as well is we got to see, besides people's like main Pokemon, we got to see their secondary kind of Pokemon that they focus on. So,
Yeah.
like, we didn't see Charizard get pulled out. We saw Scyther get pulled out.
Yes.
So that was different than like, oh well, all the starter Pokemon are like superior. We didn't see Ivysaur get pulled out. We saw Pikachu, be out.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool to see too. Going into the next chapter as well with Green of, who is she going to pull out and what guys are more valuable to her, I guess
Or,
you could say.
or to say, have any of our Pokemon evolved over this time? Because we haven't really seen Green
That's true.
in a huge like capacity since,
Yeah,
oh, I don't
because
remember when.
I think the last time we saw she had a war turtle.
Yeah, she had War Turtle in the War Turtle Wars or whatever it was called. I don't know what the chapter was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, you know, I guess we'll see how that could possibly go, and we're still waiting for Ivysaur to, basically
Yeah.
Venusaur up,
Yeah. Which hopefully it's soon. Hopefully
right?
it's soon. Yeah. That's
The other, the other thing I would really like to see when we get done with this, which we may have to wait and go through yellow,
uh-huh.
is if we actually covered all 151 Pokemon.
Oh, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Because, we've been covering all these different ones, but I don't 100% know if we've seen every Pokemon or not yet.
Huh. Yeah, I mean maybe a quarter of them we've seen,
I
here or
don't
there.
know. I mean, I feel like we've seen more than that, but I don't know who we're missing per se. So maybe
Yeah.
we'll have to kind of scan through the books again real quick and just be like, oh, yep, found this, found this, found this.
One thing I really still enjoy are the English, like, not translations, but like English, like, little like names for each chapter,
Yeah,
like how they have like the puns and stuff.
yeah,
Because like in Japanese, it's just like this Pokemon versus this Pokemon
right,
versus this Pokemon. Like they don't have like fun with it
right.
in a sense. Like we got the what was it? The goal for Golbat was?
Yeah,
Yeah. And the last one was a piece of mine, which I mean it's funny. I love the wordplay that they got going on. And
right,
I hope that they stick with it throughout the entire series.
right. Because, I mean, they did that with the TV show too.
They did do that.
So I mean, that's something that reigns supreme. I feel like it makes it really enjoyable from like when we originally watched the TV show.
Totally, totally.
So,
But yeah,
but yeah,
I look forward to talking about the next two chapters and seeing
you
where this is going to go because I have no idea where it's
you
going
look
to go.
forward to reading them all.
Reading them all, yeah, because I want to see like
So,
I want to know like do they make it out like 100% like unscathed type of thing like, or is
right,
there like some side effects? Maybe get some PTSD or something. Who knows?
right. So, anyway, though, guys, stay tuned for next time because obviously there's a lot more to go.
There is,
And
and
we will see you next Tuesday.
thanks for listening.